Again, I greet you and I say good morning and I welcome you. That we are not here by chance, we are here by divine appointment. Those that are tuning in at this moment because there's something here for you. And as we come together and acknowledge the principles of successful living, which in our way of life, we feel that just by virtue of the fact that we were born, that we are a success. And success has many, many definitions and has many things to different people. However, today's topic is Ask the Universe for What You Want. And I have been featuring a book called The Aladdin Factor, in which Mark Victor Hansen wrote this wonderful book. And energetically, we each have Aladdin's lamp. Jack Canfield also co-authored it. And has some wonderful examples about why he was always afraid to ask. And the greatest reason why we are afraid to ask is that we fear rejection. We fear that we will not be received or we will not be accepted. And what is so interesting, that in the ancient times, the Bible says, ask and ye shall receive, seek and ye shall find, knock and the door shall be opened unto you. They that asketh, receiveth. They that seeketh, findeth. They that knocketh, the door is opened. It's about putting the works with the faith, action with intention. But we get a little rejection here and there, and I've got many, many wonderful author friends that have had so many rejection notices of their book. I remember we featured in my San Diego ministry, Richard Bach, that he had 150 rejections on Jonathan Livingston Seagull. And can you imagine the one publishing company that accepted it? It was on the New York Times bestseller list for a long time. A movie was made out of it. And it's always about the journey of each and every one of us. It's our journey. And that we come into this way of life to live and move and have our being in that reality, that spiritual ground of being. And that everything springs forth from that. I'm a charter member of the Spiritual Cinema Circle, in which they feature spiritual, can you imagine the concept, movies and films, spiritual. And they featured this month one on the Camino. And I remember reading Shirley MacLaine's book on her walk on the Camino. The Camino De Santiago is in Spain. And for 1,200 years, people have been making a pilgrimage to Santiago. It's a 500-mile journey, if you can imagine. And what happens is people start out for various reasons. They think they're doing it for one reason, but something else emerges. 500 miles. They got their backpacks, and it shows, one young woman, she's got everything in the world in her backpack, and she's, treading along. Suddenly, 10 days in, that backpack's getting pretty heavy. And it's communal living. So the road to Santiago, this amazing pilgrimage, has along the way hostels and personal homes and people along this road that feed them, that welcome them, that acknowledge that they too once made the journey. This 500-mile journey that takes 30 to 40 days. I mean, it would take some of us a little longer and some of us a little shorter, I'm sure. But the ones that put their foot on the path and made that commitment to this 500-day journey got their lives back in such a way and such a deepening within them that it wasn't just about reaching Santiago. It was about the journey, not the destination. And when Lao Tzu said in the 5th century, if you want to walk the journey of 1,000 miles, begin by taking the very first step. But we think, oh, yeah, I'll get around to it someday. I want to do all these things, but, I've got this and I've got that. Once we commit, and Goethe said it best, once you commit, all of nature and providence lifts you in this commitment. Everything conspires to make it happen. Once we commit. And the one young woman, she was the American. They called her the American. It's always interesting, the American. She said that, I was going into the hostel. There were 2 beds left. And, it's cohabitation. She goes, I just prayed that the next bed would be a woman. I just prayed that it would be a woman. Because there was no space between the beds. They were just shoving beds in there, and there was no space. It was like whoever was in that bed, you go, good night, honey. See you in the morning. And she said, here comes this big, burly German guy. And he plopped his stuff down on the bed, and she thought, oh, my God. Oh, Lord. This too shall pass. And her knees were bothering her. And she was in a lot of pain. But she was going to make this sojourn. And she was trudging, she said. And she said an 80-year-old man with spinal condition passed her up. It was amazing. She goes, he was way back, and suddenly he just kept on keeping on and passed me up. It was outrageous. And suddenly the German saw me. He said, oh, there's the American. Would you like me to carry your backpack? She said, I was so moved. I wouldn't even think of doing that for anyone. This one act of kindness, of carrying my backpack, and my knees were so sore that I had to stop a couple of days, go to the doctor and have them treated before I started. And they were wrapped in ace bandages and the whole thing, but I was going to make this journey. And to have him carry my backpack, I was so moved. And she wept. That she was so moved, that she was so judgmental, that, she had no idea that when this old burly German laid down beside her, that such kindness would be evoked and would emerge. That in the most amazing places, wherever we turn, there is the milk of human kindness. And one young mother was there with her 5-year-old, and they said to the little 5-year-old, and his name was Syrian, Syrian, are you excited about making this journey with Mommy? 5 years old. He said, I didn't have a choice. I didn't have a choice. But something within this little 5-year-old walking the Camino with Mommy, and she also had a stroller to put him in when he got tired. And she said, my brother came, Alexis, and she said he came, and we always fought. But by the time on the 10th day, something happened to our relationship, and it shifted. And we were in a rhythm. They interviewed 2 men from Canada. And the one said, I'm here because my friend invited me. And he conducted the funeral service for my wife, who passed 4 years ago suddenly. And he said, and the wound is still pretty fresh. And then he wept. And he said, I'm going to make this journey for the 2 of us. It was always on our list to do. And he said, and I feel an energy. And his dear friend said, yes, there is a rhythm. There is a musical rhythm to the walking. And the sticks. And they all had walking sticks. Some just one, and some had the 2. And I want you to know that when I came here 13 years ago, that I met a young man online. And we began corresponding. He was on the spiritual path, and he was going through a divorce, and he had things, and I don't know even how it came about, because there wasn't social media then. And we corresponded, and I counseled him, and he wanted to show, he was also an artist, and he wanted to show his appreciation. And he was also a sculptor. And he carved this. And you know that I was named after the Rose of Sharon in the Song of Solomon. My mother had me on her 19th birthday and named me Sharon. And I'll put this up at the reception, but these are all hand-carved roses, hand-painted. And, with this wonderful eagle right here at the very beginning. And I always thought, I relate to Native American culture and to the indigenous people. And I always thought this is just such a beautiful gift. And I do like to go hiking when I go away. If I have, if I've got that in the schedule. Usually our presentations are pretty packed full. But here was this. And I thought, I would like to make that journey, the 500-mile journey, just to do it and meet wonderful people and the energy of life that is right at our elbow. And when this young woman talked about her knees and what she was going through, and another young man was there just to be there, and he said that he had some wonderful camaraderie with other young men, and they called him the Niña. He was in his 20s, but they were older. And that every walk of life, every religion, a Franciscan monk, and I want to share his quote with you. It's Catholic monasteries and missions along the way. And this Catholic monk, Franciscan monk, said, it's an internal Camino. It's a process toward the heart, toward what's inside. And we discover the expanded universe that unites us all. It's an inside job. And we discover the expanded universe that unites us all. Think of it. That even though they're Catholic priests and monks and whatever, they recognize that all faiths, all colors, all creeds, and sexual orientations are walking the Camino. And the ones that had the heavy backpacks, the one monk said, the only baggage you have is your fear. Think about it. The only baggage we have is our fear. And it reminds me of Jane Bernstein when she wrote a book on success. And she needed it published, and it was helping people. And she was, selling the manuscript. She said, I was terrified, but I walked into a bank. I threw the book down, and I said, I don't have any money. I don't even have an account with you. But this book is going to help people. And I need a loan. And the loan officer said, how much do you need? And she said, $15,000. Looked at her credit, wrote out a check. She walked out, and she was like blown away. Who in the heck do you think you are? Well, an hour ago, you didn't have any money. And right now, you've got $15,000. Maybe I should have asked for 30. Ask the universe for what you want. That each and every one of us is walking that Camino. We're walking that journey. Some of us are very inconsistent in our lives, and we get inconsistent results. And we think, oh, well, this way of life doesn't work, but it's always working, only it works to the degree that we are working. Ask the universe for what you want. You know what I want? I want that property where Magruder Chevrolet is, up against the mountain. It's just sitting there for years and years and years. I want multi-million-dollar donors to come in and say, we love what you're doing here, and we're going to forward and advance your dream. I want everyone in our community to feel that energy, to affirm that they are happy, healthy, prosperous, and free. So when we say, we think it's not spiritual to ask the universe for what we want, we're always asking. But we're asking many times in a negative way. We had someone on our Facebook page, on the Interfaith page, say that she's asked for miracles, and we have Miracle Monday. Put your initials in, and we'll pray for you. And no miracle has ever occurred to her because she's so unworthy, and she's never received anything good in her life. Anyway, and I wrote back to her, and I said, you write a gratitude list. You start looking at what you're grateful for. You start opening to the universe, and the universe will pour itself out on you, pressed down, shaken together, and flowing over into every area of your life. And she wrote back, but I'm unworthy. I dropped her because you know what? Some people just aren't ready for it to get better. When they're ready, the teacher appears. There is an opening for them. There is an aha. So I'm very clear. If you want to grow, I'm there for you. If you don't, I honor that as well. Argue for your limitations, and guess what? They're yours. They're totally yours. So today, as we come together to speak our word into the law of mind and to recognize that we are always asking, but that asking sometimes is put out in a negative way, and the universe always accommodates us. I heard the other day, I was in a restaurant, and I heard somebody answer her phone, and she said, oh, hi, I'm just hopelessly alone, and nothing's working. And I thought, oh, I better just send her energy, you know. And you can silently send someone energy. She thought she was being funny. But the universe has a strange sense of humor. It always honors what we put out. And when we put out the negative, it honors that and gives us how we feel about ourselves. And when we open and realize there is a power for good in the universe greater than I am, and I can use it, that I release the past, that I don't need to ever do it the way it was. When an 80-year-old man with a spinal condition can walk 500 miles and pass up the young American girl with knee issues, and by the time she got there, she was healed, whole, perfect, and complete. When a little 5-year-old says, you know, I didn't have a choice, but thank God Mommy did. And Mama said, and she was from France, she said, oh, I just didn't think you could have this kind of an experience at home. And I said, you think? You think? And people were coming up holding his hand and giving him energy, and he was giving them energy. And then they got to the Franciscan monk, and he was sharing that this is your Camino. This is your experience. That this is your journey. And so the little boy was acting up, and he goes, what is it, Syrian? And he wanted to be with the cameraman. So, you know, when you're 5 years old, you know where the action is. You want to be with the cameraman. You want to see where the action is. And she said he had so much to play with all along the way. All along the way. There is life, there is energy, there is aliveness. Blessed are they who have eyes that see and ears that hear. Because when we open to the universe has always been open to us. We don't have to keep doing what we've done in the past, expecting a different result. We need to now put it in place this absolute opportunity that we have for a new cause in mind. And in this new cause of mind, we are recognizing that we are standing up, coming to the plate, that we are consistent in our spiritual life, that we are consistent in our relationships, that we are consistent with ourselves, that we are consistent in our prayer work, not just doing it at a whim. And I recently saw a biography of Agatha Christie, and she said, I write whether I feel like it or not. She wrote 40 bestsellers of mysteries. I am a mystery buff. And I just thought, yes, you get up in the morning whether you feel like it or not. You put one foot in front of the other, and you keep on keeping on. Some days we're not going to have the highest energy. Other days we're going to feel like the whole world is ours. And we have to keep our conversations in heaven. And that which we utter, what? Becomes the outer. So we keep our conversations in heaven, and we speak this word in such a way that everyone and anyone who comes within our energy field is healed and uplifted in our presence. Because what I know, where are we going? Higher yet. Where are we going? Higher yet. Where are we going? Higher yet. And so it is. God bless you.